This is the Baymaw Podcast with Marty Solomon. I'm his co-host, Brent Billings. Today we begin session 9 of the podcast and discuss what comes next and what we can look forward to in the months to come.
We're here for yet another session, another season. Here's what I hate, Brent. I don't know what the music is right now. We're recording ahead of time. We haven't selected music. I don't know what vibe, what energy am I supposed to be bringing to the table here for session 9. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?
Is it all like dark and wavy? And is it like got an emo feel to it? Is it like Nickelback on steroids? What are we doing here? I need to know.
I don't know.
All right. Well, we're already having too much fun for an intro episode. I suppose the best place to start, Brent, would be exactly what you said in your intro. Like, what's coming in session 9? What can we expect to see? As far as just session content, we're going to have our typical interviews. We just love those. We love to learn from other people. We love to meet new friends. And we love to share our platform with others that can amplify resources that our listeners might find helpful, or amplify voices that might not otherwise be amplified, or whatever those things might be. So we're going to keep doing the interviews that everybody's used to. That's normal. It's a part of our production culture. But then we've kind of fallen into a general rhythm here where every session, one of the teachers, not counting Brent, one of the main hosts, will carry a series. And then every now and then, Brent Billings has shown up. You did a couple little episodes that were kind of like your episodes in session 8. How was that?
It was great. And I don't want to commit to any more than that. But every once in a while, I'll throw something in there, I think.
Brent has to produce all of our series. But it was fun to have a few of those. That Psalms episode in session 8, that was great.
It was fun.
I loved it. But we have a series from kind of all of us, and we don't know exactly how they'll line out. We have a general plan, but we're not going to reveal that. Chances are good we'll start with my series in session 9. And I plan on doing a big series on Hosea. I want to walk, I think I can commit to verse by verse through Hosea. We'll do the whole book.
It's not the shortest book, but it's not too long.
No. Yeah, we can do it. I think we got like 14 episodes, give or take, 12, something like that. Can't remember what I sent over to you. But we will go through Hosea. I think Elle, she wanted to continue. She's got another installment of her Talmudical series. So was she staying in Matthew, Brent? Can you remember?
Yep. Still Matthew, more or less. I mean, as listeners know, we don't strictly hold Matthew. We jumped into John there for a moment and got to do some other stuff. But yeah.
We follow, speaking of John, we follow where the wind blows. No one knows. One can see the wind. See the effects of the wind. So we see the effects of Elle. Nobody can see Elle where she's going.
Yeah, this is an audio only medium.
Oh, goodness. And then I think Josh talked about doing, was it more Sabbath stuff? Like Josh just loves, what was he? No, Josh is going to do a series on Kohelet. The book of Ecclesiastes, I think, is what he was going to do. He's going to do a dive through what we can learn, ecclesiastical wisdom, whatever the right word to use there would be. But he's going to do that. And then read Vices and Virtues. Is that what we came up with for a series for Reed Dent?
Vice and Virtue? I don't know. We haven't quite nailed down the title, but yes, it's going to...
Vice and Virtue.
It's going to be the 7 deadly sins and then faith, hope, and love. I don't know if there's the 3 essential something. Virtues.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I don't know, but it's going to be good. So that's what we have coming up. As far as just content in session 9, that's what you got in the months that lie ahead. Who knows how long it will take. But Brent, speaking of how long it will take, it's been a while since we did something else. Do you know where I'm headed?
The Chosen, season 4.
Season 4
overdue.
commentary.
Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of messages like, have you guys abandoned your Chosen commentary? The answer is no. We've been working on some stuff, and then we had to get our hands on season 4. So that just happened, and I need to finish it and start looking at it. Have you started yet, Brent, as we record this?
Well, I watched them all in theaters because...
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was preparing myself because I thought that as soon as that theatrical run was done, they were going to be all available for streaming, and we were going to start doing that immediately. And then they had, whatever legal thing that was going on, and that delayed the streaming. And so that put us into a time when Marty and I were in Turkey and
Yikes.
various other trips and obligations, and we just could not do it.
But we're back
at that point. And so, yeah, now we're ready. We've got time. We're going to get that in.
Yeah, we are back. And I mentioned this a moment ago. We've been working on a bunch of stuff because we do have some new stuff. And when I say that, I never want to give the impression, I say this on some of our live streams too, that we're just going to do more for more's sake. We're not just trying to produce more content at BEMA to produce more content. We're trying to be very strategic. We're trying to produce the right kind of content the right way. The stuff that we really feel led to do and that we feel is kind of like our task. But we do have some new stuff coming. One of those is that somewhere around the turn of the year, so probably right in the middle of session 9 somewhere, we are going to also do a reboot of session 1. So we started recording session 1 in 2016. 2016? Yes, 2016, August of 2016. And it's been a long time. 2016 was a long time ago, almost a decade. And we've added people to the team, Elle and Josh and Reed, and it's just time to go back and clean up some stuff and re-record those episodes. And we're gonna launch them. They're gonna replace the old episodes. You'll still be able to get to the old episodes. We talk about all this in the reboot, so you'll be able to hear all this in your intro -1 reboot episode. But we're gonna replace the old feed with the new episodes, and you'll be able to get to the old ones in the show notes. So they're not going to disappear, but we're going to just do our best to try to clean some stuff up, fix some mistakes, get in those new voices earlier in the process, and just make it seem a little bit more conducive to, 2025. So that's coming. Anything you'd add about that, Brent?
Yeah, just, as I've said, every time we've talked about this, you used to cycle through this material every 2 years. And so you were constantly updating and incorporating new resources and, fixing language to teach things more clearly as you got feedback from students. And so it's just been frozen there for 8+ years in the podcast feed. And so it's just time to give it a refresh.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. That was the dynamic nature of BEMA before it was a podcast was really nice that way. It could evolve in real time with me. And then when you put it out there on the interwebs, it doesn't get the chance to do that. So we're going to try to cycle back and do that with that reboot, by the way. We're going to try to, people have noticed that I've been building a relationship and a partnership with the folks over at YouVersion. And one of the things that we're learning about is how great and useful their reading plans can be, their Bible reading plans. We've had people create their own reading plans for BEMA. We plan to release a BEMA YouVersion reading plan that will go along with the reboot. And it will probably begin the practice of us releasing different kinds of reading plans to help you read along with the podcast experience. We'll do fast ones, we'll do slow ones, we'll do all kinds of stuff, but we are going to do a reboot reading plan that will work along with that. We might even have an experiment or two before the turn of the year, Brent, where we try to get used to the reading plan format and how it works with YouVersion. So don't be surprised if you see us put something out there and just kind of rough draft, beta test some read plan ideas. So
I do know that BEMA has a profile within the YouVersion app, and that several thousand people have already followed that profile.
Okay.
I don't know what they're getting out of that currently. I assume that there is some sort of connection. I don't actually know. Part of the experiment that we might be doing in the fall before that larger plan in the new year is just understanding, like, okay, if we release a plan, does it tell everybody who follows our profile about the plan? I don't know. So we want to answer some of those questions and test out the functionality. But I've been going through a reading plan this year myself with a few friends, and have been enjoying that process and understanding how the functionality works and whatever. And so we're gonna incorporate the podcast into that sort of format.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna keep trying to create more new resources, not just reading plans, but other things too. We've got some new staff members on the team. Well, we've got one new staff member on our team, and her heart and her desire is to try to help create more resources for those reboot episodes is where it's going to start in particular. People are always asking, like, is there anything else you can give us to help with discussion groups or just any resources you want to provide would be. And she's got just some great ideas of how to bring some of the ideas, how to basically get a synopsis. It's not going to quite be discussion questions. I've always said we'll stop short of that, but it's going to be a nice little resource hub where you can get a little synopsis, little summary, here's some things to think about. Here's some questions to ask, not necessarily in a discussion group, but just here's some things that you might want to think about as you look at this episode. So we got more resources coming.
Can we talk about her identity at all? Can we share that?
Her name is Amber Miller, and she's been a Bayma Boise. Her and her husband, Andrew, have run a Bayma group for a very long time, more than one Bayma group in the Boise, Idaho area.
Yeah, they kind of have a little bit of a network of groups.
They do.
That they're either connected to or have helped run directly. So she has a lot of experience with groups.
She used to be an English teacher, so she likes words. And all those things bode really well. I've known the Millers since before they were married. Since they were young, we grew up in the same church in Idaho, southern Idaho. And we worked together as interns and on staff there, and then our paths parted ways, and they got back together. And so it's been fun to have her on the team, but she brings some unique gifts to help us grow in all those ways, social media, all that kind of stuff. So she's going to help us out.
Mm-hmm. And then Bayma Liturgy.
We are going to be working on, so this, by the time you've listened to this episode, Bayma Year 3, the third cycle of the Bayma Liturgy has already been out since September. So that's kind of in the works already, but it's something to be thinking about for next year. Not that you couldn't jump in the middle of it. It's not designed to jump into the middle of the Bayma Liturgy. But if you're looking for something that a group could build communal life around, it's a liturgy. It's a reading and reflection. It's discussion questions. It doesn't go along with the podcast. It's in the spirit of Bayma. It's in the hermeneutical lens of Bayma, but it's more like we want to gather as a small group and live lives together of worship and fellowship together. And it's something to gather around. The reason we're mentioning it here is because Josh and Elle are currently working on, we hope, a new kind of 2.0. So we've gone through 3 cycles of the same liturgy, and it's time to have another version of it, another way for those that have done 3 whole years, they're like, okay, this has run its course. What's next? And we want to give them something new for the next 3 years. That, I think, is supposed to be based around the Jewish calendar. So the original Bayma Liturgy 1.0 was based around the Christian calendar, Advent, Lent, all of those seasons. It's the calendar that I like to lean into. Obviously, my Jewish observance has me leaning into the Jewish calendar too, but I've always appreciated the Christian calendar. Wanted to give us something that worked along with most of our churches. But Josh and Elle are putting together one that's based more on the Jewish calendar and what we can learn from and reflect on with that. So that could be coming. Who knows when, but keep those antennae up.
Possibly, maybe even likely, during the run of Session 9, which is why we're talking about it now.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I would call it 2.0, though, because that makes it sound like, oh, we had this other thing and now we're improving it. This is...
Yeah.
I've been calling it, I've been referring to it internally as what we have now as Bayma Liturgy 1. This will be Bayma Liturgy 2. I'll be using Roman numerals because that makes it more like official.
All right. Yeah.
I like that. They'll both be available. So if you see Bayma Liturgy 2 and you're like, oh, well, this is like nice, but I still want to use the other one because I really like the way that flowed. Like both of them will be available. There'll be 2 different liturgies. But yes, it is, coming up time to give people some other options, at least.
So that's coming. And there you go. Let's see here, Brent, let's talk about the website for Session 9 intro. What kind of things do people need to be reminded? They're out there on the website. By now, people probably know. If you made it to Session 9, you're probably using half this stuff. But what kind of stuff can we remind people about when it comes to the website?
Well, yeah, and I think, depending on your podcast app, if you start listening to Bayma during the run of Session 9, this might be the episode that is presented to you as the first one. So this this could be good for people who have just started listening for some reason. So in light of that, I would just say if this is your first episode of Bema, you actually want to go back to the beginning of season 1, and start with episode 0 and go through sessions 1 through 5 are like the main body of our work. That is like the core material that gives you the arc of the Bible. It gives you the full story. And then 6 and beyond, season 9, where we are now, like this is all just like diving deeper on stuff, exploring new topics, looking at more of the practical side of things. Like, how do we live this stuff out? A lot of the interviews that we have are with people who are like, okay, how do I actually apply this faith, this understanding of the world, this view of God? Where do we come from, and where do we go with this stuff? And how do we turn it into something that works in our lives? So yeah, if you're starting here, you actually want to go back to episode 0. That's where you really want to start. But we're excited to be here because like the story's not over. Once we get to the end of the Bible, once we get to the end of church history, like there's more to study. There's more layers to uncover. There's more things to go through. And so Bema may be done at some point, but as far as I'm concerned, we're never done.
Yep.
Like there's always more stuff to study, always more communities to engage, ways to practice hospitality, all of those things that we talk about. Like that's not just some abstract thing that we learn about. Like it's something that we're supposed to live out.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of living that out, like we try to do this with other people. So we try to go these things. We often, a lot of us, try to experience the podcast in the midst of discussion groups. That was always something that we were doing before this was a podcast. We were on college campuses, and the podcast, the content was just a part of a larger discipleship effort. We were doing things together. We were living life together. So then when that content became a podcast, we were still using it on a college campus, and then realized with everybody else that was listening to the podcast, they should do something similar. And so we started encouraging groups. And so we do have a map, and we have a tab that gives people resources. And you can go to that map, and it's probably out of date. And there's probably half the people that are answering their email and half that don't even live there anymore. But we do our best to keep that map updated. And it just facilitates potential connections. That's all it is. We don't oversee those groups, but it gives us a chance to meet people. And there have been incredible stories of, I wouldn't say that everybody finds their way into a group using our map or the website, but there have been incredible stories of people that did. People that knew nobody, and then they found a little community of people that wanted to talk about the Bible the same way. And that map would be worth it if there was just one of those stories. And there's not. There's a lot of them. But that map would be worth it for that one person that was able to find that. And that's cool. So that's out there. Little guide to let people know how to start a group. Oh, that's not the groups tab.
Yeah. And just to set the expectations, like the map is not like this magical thing where you're suddenly going to like have this giant thriving group. Like we've had people get on the map and they sit on there with absolutely no context for like 2.5 years. And then all of a sudden, within a few weeks, they get like a dozen people. And I don't know, like, why does it happen that way? I don't know.
Yep.
But most of the groups are forming by word of mouth, same way that people are sharing the podcast. That's that. But the map does, like, every once in a while, there's that, like, wonderful connection that's made. And it's also a selfish resource for me, because whenever I go anywhere, I look at the map and I see, like, okay, what groups can I try to make a connection with and meet some people while I'm traveling anywhere? So it's great for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's all kinds of stuff on the website, stuff that, if you want to find our hosts and find the episodes if you want to find the episodes that Reed has done, you can go to our host tab. You can click on Reed's name. It will give you all his episodes. If you want to find our guests, if you want to see all the people that have been our guests, if you want to look at whether or not our guest panel we've had a lot of people actually reach out and want to know about the diversity of our guest panel. You can actually go right there on the website and click on that and see the male and female guests we have, who they are, where they come from, diversity of experience, all that kind of stuff. So that's there on the website. We have a search function, Brent, that when people start to learn how to use it really well, it's like chef's kiss. It's just wonderful.
Yes.
You're trying to find an episode and you can remember one word in the title or one. If you can get close, that search function can help you find the episode you're looking for. Guests, hosts, that's on the website. We have a news tab where we try to keep it updated. And I would say we do a pretty darn good job of keeping that tab updated real time for the next 2 or 3 months. Where are we going to be? Where's Marty going to be? When are the next live streams, speaking engagement, book events, meet and greets? That's there. There's also a link to sign up for the Baymom Messenger, which is where you could get essentially all that stuff delivered to your inbox every month. You know how an email newsletter works.
The blessing and curse of email, but unfortunately, the email does not update itself if anything changes. So if you're getting ready to go to an event or something, like definitely check the website and make sure that you have all the latest details. But yeah, if you just want to, like Marty especially is really good about planning ahead, and so you're going to pretty much know where he's going to be 3 months in advance if you're signed up for the Baymom Messenger. And for me, it's like, well, you better watch the social media posts because I'm probably planning something last minute. But I will be in touch if I know who you are. If you're on the map, I'm going to contact you directly. But
Brent, I feel like we ought to reward. I mean, this is the intro episode, and I don't want to know how many people are like, I know all this stuff, and they stopped listening. But for those that are still listening, we should reward them. We should give them a little extra special something for listening. For still listening, if they're still hanging in on this episode, I want to tell them about our resource link.
Sure.
BaymaDiscipleship.com/resources. It is a little hidden URL gem where it is the treasure trove of every resource that we have linked, recommended or not, every resource that's been linked in every book, every video, it's all there. There's a glossary, I think. Isn't it on that tab?
The glossary is there. The glossary is the one and only thing that is on this page that is not anywhere else.
Ooh,
because if
secret.
you're like, this resources page is like, you've been through Bayma and you're like, wait a second, I feel like, now you can use the search function on the website. The search will look at the titles and the descriptions and anything in the show notes for all the episodes. So the search function will find this stuff too.
Yep.
But if you're just like, I want to browse through this list because I feel like there's something that I maybe have forgotten, and when I see it, I'll remember it. So you can just look at this whole list of books and videos and everything else. There's not anything other than the glossary, and the glossary again. The glossary is like, okay, what was that Hebrew word? I don't remember what that was. This isn't really like, you don't want to drop the glossary in front of somebody who's starting at episode 0. No. Like, here's all these words you need to know.
No.
Let the words come as you go through the podcast. But once you've been through it, then this resources page is for you. So BaymaDiscipleship.com/resources. It is not linked up at the top because this is not an entry point resource. This is not something we want people to just like dive into. This is for people who have already been through Bayma, who want to find something that they know is wandering around in the back of their mind and they just can't quite bring it to the front. And so this will help you find it.
Yeah. And I got one more treat for all those people that are still listening. One more little reward. And that is that the Bayma podcast might be on more platforms than it used to be on these days. That's all I'm going to say. I just met somebody the other day, still angry, still mad at me. Literally just a couple weeks ago. It was like, when are you going to get on Spotify? And I'm like, you need to check again. He's like, did you just do that this week? I'm like, it's been up there for weeks and nobody even knew about it. So there you go. There's the secret. We have some loose plans, maybe, that the reboot will show up also on YouTube. If we can launch that over there, we think it's a good opportunity to try it out. We've been wanting to put our podcast in audio form. You're not going to see our mugs, but audio form over on YouTube. So that might show up in the reboot episodes over on the Bayma Podcast YouTube channel. All right. Those are the secret little goodies. That's some of the little reward. What do you think about that, Brent? I think I probably just threw Brent for a curveball. He was like, no.
I mean, I don't feel good about it, but it is, people want to do it. So whatever.
I don't feel good about it, but it is true. So we'll just let it be. Well, I got 3 things I just want to touch on before we're done with the episode today. The first one is we always use these capstones and these intro episodes to talk about fundraising. And I know that you guys know that that's coming. I just want to let you know how thankful we are for all the people that give, and that the needs that we have for this year are absolutely real. And so the support that we need and the support that's coming in is just so we have such gratitude for that. And we do have a need for that. If you're somebody that's listened to the podcast and you're wondering if your support makes a difference, if your support would make a difference, even at little amounts, part of what we're experiencing is we have so many people that listen to the podcast, just tens of thousands of people that listen. And so when a fraction of them give $10 a month, it makes a huge impact. It really does. And so if you're wondering if $10 a month is really, that's just a drop in the bucket. There are so many drops that it fills the bucket. And so I just want to say that out loud. For those of you that have the space and the room and you give larger amounts, like you're in at $150 a month, $200 a month. That's how we support this. We've never monetized BEMA. We don't do advertisements. We've always drawn a hard line there, and we have circled back around and asked those questions on a semi-regular basis. And that's just a commitment of ours. We don't want to do that. We love the fact that we're a nonprofit ministry and people get to choose to give. And so some of you come in at these larger amounts and you're making a substantial difference when you're giving it those amounts. And I would love to just make a special plea for anybody that listens to this podcast and you happen to have hung with us in this episode. We need those big special gifts, particularly this year. We made some big changes this year to make sure that we're the kind of organization, and it's hard. Let me just say this. It's hard to run a nonprofit. It's hard enough to be the BEMA podcast, to teach all these things about what it means to take care of the people on the margins and what it means to say those things, but then to have to try to live it out. And we're in this weird part of our life cycle as a nonprofit ministry where we used to be this small little missions organization, and we're just kind of like coming out of that into the next life stage. And that just requires us to invest in the right things, provide the right stuff, pay our people appropriately, and do the stuff that just should be done in ways that are different when you're 15, 20 people working for a missions work nonprofit. And it's just a weird life cycle that we're in. So we need about $403,000 this next fiscal year in order to not go backwards. We have the money to go backwards. You guys have been unbelievably generous. Like, we're not going to go backwards in a bad way. We have money that will catch us. We just don't want to have to lean on those reserves and to use that as much as possible. So those needs are there. And that's the amount that we're looking for this year. And so people that really want to invest in big ways, and we've seen those checks come in. We've seen people drop those $40,000 checks in the mail, and a lot of them have been anonymous. Like, a lot of those checks come in, we don't even know who sent them, but we know that they came in from somewhere. And those are going to make a huge difference in this next year or two. So for anybody listening, that's your kind of thing, that kind of philanthropy and that kind of work is something that you get into and invest in. That's my call. That's my ask. We would love to see all that. So it's literally for everybody, from the $10 a month, $8 a month. We even have a couple gifts that are smaller than that, from those small little gifts all the way up to these crazy multi-figure investments that come in as special gifts. It's all a part of how we make this thing work and we make this thing go. And so we're thankful for that. And I want to ask for you to keep giving if you think that we do things in a way that you're excited about. If we steward in ways that make, first of all, God proud. Second of all, you as a donor proud. So that would be our thoughts. Anything you would add to that, Brent?
I would just say thank you for the contributions that you make. Thank you for responding to this, even though, all of the fundraising people are like, oh, you got to talk about this. And basically what we just did for the last 5 minutes, like, you should be doing that every episode. It's like, well, I guess we could get more money if we did that, but man, wouldn't you get tired of it? I would get tired of it. And so we try to hold the whole thing pretty loosely and let God provide what he wants to provide in the time he wants to provide it. And then, we take the step when it's appropriate.
Let me transition from there and just talk for a moment about college students. Brent, I think there's a link we could probably put in the show notes, which basically tells the story of Bema. A lot of people listen to a podcast. They don't really know, like they were in session 1. They heard us talking about discussion groups on the Palouse. What did that even mean? Like, I think he works with college students. Like, we don't like the details, and they don't necessarily matter or make a difference to us in a negative way, but we don't really know the story. And we've never really spent a bunch of time telling the story of Bema and how it came to be and where the podcast came from. And so there will be a link in your show notes where you can actually go read the story of where Bema started, why it started, how it started, and essentially just kind of read about why we're always talking about college students, because college students always have been and always will be our focus. It's part of where we're facing. We're facing the young adult generation, because social science will tell you that if you want to impact the world, if you want to change the world, if you want to make any kind of cultural difference, you do that by investing primarily in children, youth, and young adults. It doesn't mean that nobody else matters. It just means that's where you face. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these resources, most importantly, into the hands of college students as they're being developed, as they're being trained, as they get married, as they have children, as they get careers and jobs and places of influence. We want them to have the tools that we work with here at Bema so that they can make that impact from the ground up in their life and in their career. And so that's a part of what we're investing in. That's a part of what we're wanting to make sure we're doing. It would be really silly and foolish of us if we kept doing a podcast and we're reaching less and less college students every year, because we want to make sure we're reaching more and more college students with our Bema resources every year. So that's a part of what we're doing. It's a part of how we're trying to do it. It's a part of what we're trying to invest in, which would lead me to my last thing that I would want to say, which is part of what we're trying to do. The reason, why would you be trying to get all this Bema stuff in the hands of all these college students? Because these college students are going to go do something in the world. Some of them will get into the work of ministry. Some of them will go do missions work. Some of them will become pastors or other people that work within churches. But most of them, and we celebrate that, by the way, the fact that they would do that. But most of them are going to get works. They're going to get jobs. They're going to be accountants. They're going to be mechanical engineers. They're going to get jobs they don't even want. They're going to be baristas for a season. They're going to have these careers, and then they're going to become a stay-at-home parent. And some of them are going to love that. Some of them are going to hate that. And some of them are going to be artists, and they're going to struggle to make a living. And some of them are, you understand how this works when it comes to, but these young people are going to go out into the world. And that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where they're bringing shalom to chaos. That's where they're doing the work of righteousness and justice. Righteousness and justice is not work that we do in a Bible study. It's not work that we do in a podcast. We learn about righteousness and justice. But there's a reason we learn about righteousness and justice. It's not just to know about it. It's to then go out and do it in the world. And that's why we work with college students. But here's the thing. Marty and Brent don't know a darn thing about physical therapy. Brent, you a physical therapist?
No, but my life would probably be a lot better if I was. I need physical therapists more than I need most people.
Yeah, me too. I need more physical therapy, less theology in my life. But yeah, totally. I'm not either. But some of you out there are. You are physical therapists. So when I have a student that graduates the university and they're headed into physical therapy, what I really long for, the dream that we have at Bema, is that there would be a network of people, a network of volunteers, ready for me to send an email from student named James to 4 different physical therapists that also listen to Bema, that share on some level a particular worldview, to be able to provide some training for those mentors. This is the world we're trying to build. We're not there yet. I don't have all the training modules built. I don't have the network constructed yet, but we're trying to set the stage. We're trying to build the world to lay the foundation that world will be built on. Impact. So I just want to start planting those seeds now. Even if it's not through our podcast, even if we don't have stuff ready, if you started thinking about the young people in your life, college students that you know that are around you, I bet well over half of our listeners live close to a university. somewhere close, somewhere within driving distance, somewhere within an hour, you have a community college or a large university or students that go to your church that are taking classes or enrolled online. If you started noticing those people and realizing that they're not just Gen Z weirdos with weird opinions about, but they're people that God's going to use to put the world back together, and they need to be encouraged and discipled, and they might actually in the process even disciple you with things that you didn't know about your own job and your own, I bet this learning and this discipleship would end up being two-way. And these are relationships that the kingdom would benefit from. And that's just, at this point, it's just an open-ended call. It might change at some point to me saying, hey, sign up here, click on this link, send me your name. For now, it's just me saying, think about it, be aware of it, notice it, and invest in it. And there might come a day where it becomes more defined and more practical for us. Don't be surprised if that's the case. But I think that's my poetic plea at the end, Brent. I think I'm out of notes at this point.
Yeah, I think that's good enough for this intro episode. We don't need to take any more time from people. Let them get back to their week and get ready for. I believe we're starting Hosea next week.
Intro to Hosea.
Unless something crazy happens, Hosea is next week, and we're going to dive into that verse by verse.
Absolutely, going to get right into it. That will be where we go. Okay, Brent. I think we've introed session 9 adequately.
We have. So people can go to BayMontDiscipleship.com to find all of those things we talked about. If you've never just poked around on the website, like poke around. There might be some stuff there that you don't realize is there. You'll look at that host's page and you'll click on read and you'll be like, wow, he's done all these episodes. I didn't even realize he had this whole series on Psalms. What is this? So yeah, explore and find some fun things. Lots of stuff on the website. Use the contact page there to get in touch with us. That is the most up-to-date way to get in touch with us, always on the contact page. So you can use that. But thanks for joining us on the Baymont Podcast this week. We'll talk to you again soon.